Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So what we saw is that Karma Yoga is now the topic, and first verse through which Lord Krishna describes the term Karma Yoga is that there is a need for Vyavasaya. And what is that? Certain kind of ascertainment of what you are looking for in life, and what will give you what you are searching for in life. So that means the person knows that I am looking for fulfillment which will be gained through self-knowledge, and in order to gain the self-knowledge I need preparation, and the very karma means actions. The very actions that I did earlier in my life, which at times brought me a little bit of disappointment, sometimes little fear, little anxiety, mixture of too many things, the same karma now I'm going to use to undo it all. So that means that you don't have to, for preparation, you don't have to go out there and do something else, doing exactly what you were doing before, but you can change the way you do it, which will then make you ready for the knowledge. So now the question is, how are you going to use the same actions and convert them into not something which produces more suffering, but to produce, to give you the objectivity. So the verse that I read last time is a very important verse. I will reread it again. It says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalane durbohu ma te sangotsva karmani. So when we perform action, many times it somehow doesn't, you perform an action because you want to get something and you want fulfillment out of it, but most of the time it doesn't happen that way, and it doesn't happen that way because of what? It doesn't happen that way because we don't know we don't have enough discerning capacity between what we have choice over and what we don't have a choice over. So that means in this verse, Lord Krishna, please understand, is not giving you an advice. If I ask somebody what this verse says, an average Indian will say, Lord Krishna is saying you to just do actions, but don't expect any result. He is not saying that. What Lord Krishna is saying is not giving you an advice, but it is telling you a statement of fact. That you have a choice over action, but you don't have choice over result of the action. This is a statement of fact, it's not an advice. First, let me little bit tell you why is this such a common misinterpretation that, oh, you perform action and leave the result, don't expect the result. Where is that coming from? Why is that such a common misinterpretation of Gita? It comes from the fact that when the result doesn't come your way, then obviously there is what? disappointment. So then, what is the simplistic answer? Oh, what you expect and you don't get, that leads to disappointment. So give up the expectation of result. If you give up the expectation of result, then when will you have no expectation, then there is no failure, and then how are you going to be disappointed? Do you understand the logic from where this so-called advice comes from? But this is not what the Gita is about. Why is it not? Because actually nobody can perform action without expecting a result. There is no human being who can do it. Can you imagine if I ask you, okay, why did you come here, made such an effort, some of you changed some 4 trains to come here. Why? Why I just came here, I have no result in mind. You are giving up 4 days of your life to be here. I'm sure, and you should have an expectation. Nobody does things without expecting anything. It's not possible, it's not rational, it is not necessary to live like that. You'll be like zombie, walking around doing things, not knowing why you're doing it and what you want to get out of it. So you'll become a dropout if you begin to follow that misinterpretation of the verse. So therefore, there is a very nice saying in Sanskrit, which is a beautiful saying, and it says, Prayojanam vina bandhaha api na pravartate. What does it mean? It means that without some result in mind, even a dull-witted person, dull-minded person doesn't engage in action. So that means the result of the action, you have some expectation that's an integral part of rational living. So now, what is Lord Krishna saying? Yes, where you have a choice is action. And when you perform an action, there is necessarily expectation of a result. But do understand the fact that the result is not totally in your hand. That is a fact. Because if the result was totally in your hand, then there would be no such thing called failure. Everybody would get exactly what one wants in life. So that means the result is not in your hand, is not an advice, it is a fact. So therefore, how do you understand it? Just with a simple example. So that means this verse is just saying one thing. Says you have a choice over action. That means you have a free will. What does it mean? You have a free will. And with this free will, you can choose to do it, not to do it, or to do it differently. That is your prerogative. You have that choice. In Sanskrit, it is called kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyathava kartum shakyam. It just simply means you can do it, you need not do it, and you can do it differently. Simple example, I can leave this flower here. I don't do anything to it. I have a choice, I can pick it up. And I also have a choice that I can pick it up and give it to him. I have that choice. So that means that is my prerogative. I can choose my action. But having chosen the action of throwing it to him, can I? Okay. I can't then, if my expectation was, it should also go there and it should also be with me. Is it possible? Or I want him to get it, but I just throw like this and then I expect that he should get it. So that means once I release it, then how far the flower is going to go, where it is going to fall, is dependent upon what? Do I totally control it? No. What takes over?
The laws.
The laws. Which laws?
Gratitude.
Gravity, the wind, all that will decide where exactly what the flower will land. How is this information so important when I perform action and to undo all the baggage that I get? Why is it important? How does it improve my quality? It improves because if you really see that behind every action that you expect a result is wonderful, but you want absolutely to control the outcome. And you try to control things which are not in your hand. And when you try to control things which are not in your hand, what does it lead to? Dissatisfaction. So that means your actions, when you perform with a wrong understanding of what I have choice over and what I don't have choice over, then it leads to dissatisfaction. So if you want to let go the dissatisfaction, then you need to be very lucid about the fact where I have a choice and where I don't have a choice. Now, that you don't have a choice over the result of the action, that then means, so then how, for example, it doesn't also mean that the actions and results are not at all connected. Understand that. Once I understand that I don't control the result, but the results are taken care of by the laws of gravity, wind, what will I do? In my choice of action, I will factor in all of that. That is intelligent living. So that means I'll try to see, okay, this is influencing, that is influencing, so let me try to maximize the probability of my getting it. And if it doesn't happen, then what?
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Correct. Then what happens is life becomes problem solving. How can I engage now and understand things better to get what I want? You correct. So that means you are from dissatisfaction mode to which mode? Problem solving mode, and you are in correction mode. That changes your quality of life. So that means, and this is what he says, karmani eva adhikarahate. You have a choice over action, but you don't have choice over result of the action. Then he says, what? Ma karma phala heturbuhu. Don't become the person who thinks that I am the cause which governs the result of the action. Because the minute you start thinking that the results are in my hand, and then when things don't happen your way, then there are two major orientations that people suffer from. The suffering is of two types. Dissatisfaction is of two types. Either you blame the world and see yourself as a victim of circumstances. Sometimes you blame one person, next time you blame somebody else, third time you blame somebody else. And ultimately what happens is that dissatisfaction keeps growing, and the mental picture that you build is, over a period of time, people are so bad. So that means that one thing starts growing and it becomes bigger and bigger. the people are bad, then the world is unfair. So it keeps, the conclusions keep becoming bigger and bigger. And your dissatisfaction keeps increasing. That is one way that people really, it happens to many people. I've seen it so much that you really feel like a victim of circumstances. You feel that the life has not treated you well. The second thing that can happen is that you take, that is another type of problem. You take all the blame on you. You tell yourself, oh, I'm no good. I can't do things well. I will never succeed. So that means in the other case, you're in a blame, you're blaming somebody else or the external world. In the other case, what happens? You're blaming almost yourself. And this is when I was talking about self-image, your self-image has got a lot to do with, I will tell you one little story. So, not only you have a self-image, low self-image as a result of when things don't happen your way, you tell yourself, oh, I'm a failure. But just recently I was in Paris and I was talking to somebody and she told me that, so while talking to people I get material for my class. Because this is life and these are people and it's true. So she told me so she was married for many years, about 10 years, and then now she's divorced. And she said, every day my husband, in one manner or the other, told me, you're not good. Small comments, not something very big, not like, oh, you are bad, but something or the other goes on. And in every conversation, he kept telling me that, oh, this you don't know how to do well, oh, and oh, you're not looking so nice. So one thing or the other, and she said, she really used this word, it was like slow poisoning. Slow poisoning because I totally lost confidence in myself. She said, when every day you hear about some criticism or the other, and somebody is trying to tell you how inadequate you are in small ways, you feel, first you think that that person is really mean to you. She said, slowly, I started thinking, I'm really no good. So therefore, she said that when I decided to divorce, my self-esteem, she really said, was zero. So that means that not only we give ourselves a message, when we hear from others, initially we are displeased, but somewhere along the line we internalize. And as we internalize, then we begin to suffer. And then we begin to have not only suffering, but low self-esteem. We start thinking we are no good. So therefore, these are all the different things which are so real. So therefore, when things don't happen your way, there are two ways in which, and both lead to deep dissatisfaction, frustration, then sometimes anger, because sometimes you recognize that, hey, this person is not treating me well, then there is anger. But you are not able to say because there is also this authority and fear. So that's why over a period of time we become complex as human beings. Too many baggages. When I perform action, I end up accumulating too many baggages. So, when I understand, how will it change anything when I understand that the result is not in my hand? In this case, tell me. Now, this lady understands. The lady understands the fact that, okay, I can behave in a way, but how he behaves is not in my hand. It's true. Now, if with this understanding, what will you do differently? Tell me. Use this verse and say how this verse helps you to behave differently.
To not stop when something doesn't come out well, if I'm working on a project, and to go back to it and say, okay, let me try again.
Exactly. So in this particular thing, the first thing is, don't ever, in this particular case of, let's say, the husband keeps criticizing her, where does she have a choice? Tell me. In her actions.
Respond differently to
Exactly.
whatever it's saying.
Exactly. So that means what generally happens is that is a very common response, we are passive aggressive. When the husband was saying this, she could not say anything. She was not able to say, hey, stop, you can't do this. That choice of action you don't exercise. Karmani eva adhikarahate. Don't ever give up that choice. Because if you are just passive, and if you don't stop people, and that's exactly the case of Mahabharata. Pandavas, let go, let go, let go. Oh, they are our brothers. Oh, okay, it's okay, let them have, let them have. What happened? Huge war. So therefore, the action is your prerogative. So that means you can say stop, but you can say it what? In so many different clever ways. How? So I will tell you. I have so many stories, and these are all real stories. Now, and some of these have a little bit of a cultural content, but don't worry, it has a given thing too. It shows you how you can do things differently, right? So when I say that you have to, the choice of action is in your hand, it doesn't mean that you now fight back and say, what right do you have to say this to me? That is not what I'm saying. And fight back and really get back. You have many ways of being proactive. And you can find creative ways of being proactive. The aggression is not the only way that you ask the person to stop. But you can't be passive either. You can find ways to help yourself. So what I'm going to tell you is, this is a very Indian example. So that doesn't probably apply to most of the Western. The Western mind is different. But just, it has a certain thing to say. That it has a point to make. And the point to make is, so there was this woman, she was very, very talented, and she was a very good dancer, and she got married. This is India. And her in-laws and her husband and all, so they said, now you can't dance. Now you're married, you can't dance. So for 5-10 years, she gave up dancing. And as she gave up dancing, what was happening is, she was feeling frustrated. Because that was her passion. And then she felt that, I'm being imposed, that I'm being forced not to dance. So after 10 years, when the kids were a little bit bigger and all that, she said, now I have to help myself, otherwise I'll be so dissatisfied. So then she was considering, what can I do now? Because she felt stuck. Because all that she had in her mind is, either I just walk out, which is difficult, or I stay there and I stay dissatisfied. This is generally a human mind. You only think of what two extreme options. Either you fight and you say what nonsense, or and which may lead to divorce, or you are passive, put up with it. So how she helped herself? So she herself did it. I didn't give her the advice. She herself told me. She says, instead of these two, I started looking at what are the other options I have. So then she said, she told them that, I just want to go for, she didn't say, I want to re-begin to dance and what is this and I'm bored and what a way to treat me and none of that. All she said is, I know there is a dance class, it's only once a week. And I would just like to go there once a week because now the kids are, grown up and I would like to go there. So once in a week for 1 hour didn't seem like anything much. So they said, yeah, you can go. So then she went for 1 time a week. Then what happened is slowly it became what? 2 times a week. And then slowly her teacher was a very well-known kind of a person. So she started getting invitation for going abroad or going to different states of India. And then she told the family that, I got also an invitation to go and dance with her. And that also was like, wow, you're going there, you're going to Germany, you're going to France, and that was a little bit. So then what happened is, slowly, she's now like traveling around the world. Neither she gave up her family, nor she fought with anybody, but she just found a way to help herself. What we do is, we imagine 2 extreme situations and we don't explore the options that we have in between these 2 extremes and help ourselves. This is what we call intelligent living and a problem-solving mind. This didn't work? Oh, let's try that. How are you then? Are you dissatisfied and frustrated and blaming somebody else and blaming yourself? What are you doing now? Tell me. You're using your faculty of choice intelligently. Karmani eva adhikara. Now, ma phaleshu kadachana. So that means, now, imagine repeatedly she tried and then what? The result was in her hand? No. She could have done it and it may not have worked. Right? It's not like always it's going to work. Then what is the choice that you have? Tell me.
Try something else.
Try something. Super. Try something else. So this is how you have to engage. Try something else. And then try something else. And if really nothing works, don't forget that you still have a choice. You have a choice whether you want to stay there dissatisfied or you want to walk out. That choice you have. Don't sit there passively and complain and get into this whole, this whole frustrated mind is a very difficult mind. Neither you're happy nor you make anybody else happy. And you don't try enough, you don't try to find solution. You have to find ways to engage in life. The same action which gave you frustration, you can convert it into what? Problem solving. A challenge. And this is what really, in fact, all the Bollywood and all, not only Bollywood, all Hollywood films, they're all like that. What? The hero is not the one who is just born with a PhD through parents who are PhDs and he himself gets a PhD, and then he is married to his wife who also has a PhD, and the kids are also PhD. Exactly. So that means that's what somebody was asking the other day. So in spite of all this learning, Arjuna still had to fight a war, and still kind of, So Surya said, oh, so you expected what? That Arjuna got moksha, his wife got moksha, his kids got moksha. That doesn't happen. So that means that is how it is. You have to engage intelligently and find different solutions. That is your prerogative. But if you expect people to behave and do what you want, you will always be disappointed. That's why when we enter into a relationship, the whole attempt we have is to what? Get our partner to do exactly what we want. And the other person wants the same from you. And nobody likes to be controlled. So then it's a disaster. Some point or the other, it's a disaster. Because you try to control things over which you have no control. But you have to use your free will to engage. So this is what he says, Ma karma phala hetu bhuhu. If you take everything that the result are in my hand, and the fact that the results I have a control over, or you try to control the result, then disappointment is sure. So once I was teaching this, there was one Harvard guy who was in my class, and he was a CEO of a very big company. So he told me, you're telling me that a result is not in my hand? I've been taught in my MBA school that everything you can control. And your whole thing is to what? Try to control everything. And you don't take no for an answer. This is how we are taught. So I gave him an example. I said, that you want things your way, there is nothing wrong. But that you will always get what you want, that is not true. So I said, now imagine that this is a simple example of a boatman. A boatman has to cross the river and has to reach the destination. And if the boatman is operating only from one thing, that I can control everything, and I'm going to get there, and that is what it is, and I totally believe in my skills. That's all. It's operating only from that paradigm. Now suppose the same boatman said, yes, my skills are very important. Obviously it is important. My experience is also very important. But what is also very important is for me to recognize that my ability to cross and go to the other side depends upon too many other factors also. If there is a huge storm, or if there is a whirlpool in the river, there are too many external factors that also influence the result of the action. I'm a participant, sure, and I have to do everything that I can, but I'm not the only, there are too many other variables over which I have no control. Now, when you understand that there are variables over which you have no control, are you going to sit there and say, oh, I'm so helpless? No. What are you going to do? You try to find out what those variables are. You try to find out what is the direction of the wind. You try to find out if there are whirlpools or not. You try to find out and use all that knowledge to what? Reach that place as you want. So that means take into account that it is not only you, you are in a universe where forces and the laws are at work. And you have to learn to live your life understanding those forces and also using them to get them where you want. You can't afford to be oblivious to them. That is what we call intelligent living. So therefore, work with the forces of the universe. And never, so that is what he says, Ma karma phala hetur bhuhu. Understand that the results are not totally in your hand, but at the same time you are a participant, obviously. And mate sangotsva karmani. What does it mean, mate sangotsva karmani? It says sometimes, this is also very common. That in India they say, oh, the forces, so that they have this, the name of the forces, they say Ishvara. Leave everything to Ishvara, Ishvara will take over. Hey, how will Ishvara take over? This is another thing. The minute you say the laws and Ishvara and all, it almost you become passive. Before you were not doing anything out of laziness, and now it is Ishvara who's going to do it. So you stop engaging what intelligently. So this is what he says, that don't take yourself to be the author of the result of the action, but don't take to what not doing anything. Why? Because karmani eva adhikara. Your choice of action is one window through which you can engage in the world. That's your opportunity. And the quality of your engagement is going to decide whether you are a contributor or you are just a grabber or you are a dissatisfied person. That is going to decide. And the more and more you engage and be a contributor, there is a feedback from Ishvara, which is what? Your satisfaction, your good self-esteem, your enthusiasm. So therefore, this is how you have to use the faculty of choice. So there is a nice story in to show that how you have to help yourself, and it's not about this Ishvara will do it. The cliches are very dangerous. So there was this, there was a story that our teacher used to tell us, that there was a man in a village and he was very, very devotional, he was very devout, and he was always telling Ishvara will take care, Ishvara will take care. So in that same village there was a storm. So the storm became really high and then things started what? Getting flooded. So as the flooding came up and up and up and up, then the villagers started feeling what? Oh, this is dangerous. So many of them started leaving the village, and they also came to him, and he said, no, Ishvara will take care of me. You guys go. So they went. Then the rain did not stop, and then what happened? Again, the water level rose even more. So that means a few people who were still in the village, they also started leaving. Then when the last person left, they said, hey, come on, come. He said, no, Ishvara will take care. I'm a great devotee, Ishvara will take care of me. Then what happened is, it rained even more, and then what? The water even rose further, and then the local village village and the local district kind of had a warning. So therefore, the people, the officials came with a warning as a rescue team to take him. And he says, no, you guys can go, Ishvara will take care of me. Then the helicopter came to pick him up. Ishvara will take care of me. And then ultimately he drowned. He drowned, this is a story. And then he went and told Ishvara, what is this? I had so much faith in you, everybody just left and I was saying Ishvara will take care of me, Ishvara will take care of me, and you didn't even take care of me. I drowned and I died. So Ishvara replied, Ishvara is not a person by the way, that is. But the reply was, I came as villagers to take you first time. You didn't do anything. I came, you missed that chance. I came again as this second group of people. Then I came as the government district officers. Then I finally sent you what? The helicopter. You didn't help yourself. So therefore, this Ishvara is something which is not supposed to kind of make you a passive observer. And therefore it says, Mate Sangot Swakarmani. Don't take to inaction. Action is your prerogative. The results are taken care of by the laws, and if things don't happen your way, you can engage further and you can say, what can I do next? How can I do things differently? Which will put you in what? An engaging problem solving mode rather than a dissatisfied mode where you begin to feel, oh, it's all bad. And the more you invest in understanding the laws and the variables and try to work with them, the more you can accomplish in life. This is how it is. Even if the laws of gravity take care of where the object is going to go. This is a simple thing, right? But if I know it, then what will happen? What will I do with this information that the result is not in my hand? The result will be taken care of by the laws of gravity. One thing that I can do is by the knowledge of law of gravity, once I incorporate laws of gravity in my understanding, which are the forces of Ishvara, first thing I will do is not jump from the 10th floor and help myself. The second thing that I will do is, if I want the object to fall there, either I will throw with a certain speed or I'll go there and drop it, so that what my chances of this reaching there is higher. Intelligent living, working with the forces. And finally, with this knowledge of law of gravity, I can even send rocket to the space. I can do that. Because you can use the very knowledge of gravity to what? The human mind is such a gift. The possibilities of problem solving are so immense that having studied the forces, if I am intelligent, then I can send a rocket which goes what? Up against gravity. But can I do it without first studying the forces? No. Learn to work with laws of Ishvara. neither be passive, nor think that you control everything. This is the verse. This, if you understand this verse, I tell you, your life will change. No more complaints, no more blames, no more dissatisfaction, I am no good, but engaging. Engaging, but engaging intelligently, not only from this is what I want and this is what should happen and this is how things have to be, not like that. Seeing how the world is and incorporate the laws in your decision making. The more you do that, the better your life will be. The same karma which gave you all these burdens, the same karma will become an opportunity for you to what? Elevate yourself. So, this is the verse. Now, the next verse is a little bit of a further elaboration, having first made the statement where you have a choice, where you don't have a choice. Now each one of these aspects he elaborates a little further. Here he says, Yogastat kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Now here also, this is not an advice. People, if they don't understand Gita, they say, oh, Lord Krishna is saying that in Siddhi and Asiddhi. Siddhi is what? In success, and in Asiddhi. Asiddhi is what? Not failure. So in success and failure, you should maintain samatvam. Samatvam means equanimity, equilibrium. How is it possible? Is it possible that you wanted to get into this great university or you wanted this great job and you got it and you didn't get it and you are exactly the same? When we think that this is what Gita is saying and try to be like that, then what happens is we begin to lose connection with life. So I had somebody who was this person who was trying to have this equilibrium. So his sister says, oh, my husband, my brother is like what? This sthita prajna, nothing bothers him. Things come and go, nothing bothers him. And his wife tells me that it's impossible to live with him. It's unreal. I feel I'm living with somebody who's like, not sensitized. Normal reactions don't exist for this person. So therefore, this samatvam has to be understood. This samatvam is not some kind of an artificial thing of, oh, I have to have equilibrium, I have to have equilibrium, I have to have equilibrium, because Krishna says that, oh, I need to have equilibrium. There has to be samatvam. This samatvam is gained out of understanding the infallibility of laws of Ishvara. So that means, if the results are not in my hand, then at any given point in time, the results that I have can be what? One of the four types. What are one of the four types? Either it is more than what I expect, it could be what? Equal to what I expect, it could be less than what I expect, or it can be what? Opposite. Opposite of what you expect. Anything. Four types of results and ask in everybody experiences. more, equal, less and opposite. Now, it is impossible to be just same with reference to all these four results. What enables you to have a certain amount of equilibrium is your knowledge, not just trying to kind of, desensitize your mind and emotions and say there has to be equilibrium. The knowledge is that there are too many factors beyond my control. The unknown variables, the kind of variables which are at play, there are just too many. And I don't have control over all the different variables. When you understand that fact, then what happens is, even if things didn't happen my way, it doesn't mean things are unfair. Because there is infallibility in the laws. What does it mean that, let's say, that the state of the environment right now. The state of the environment that we have right now is an outcome. Is it only an outcome of actions that we do today? No. The problem that we have is starting from when? The
Long term.
exactly. So that means it starts with probably even pre-industrial age. And all the production decisions that people took, how they manage their waste, all this, what factors in, how many trees they cut. All of this factor in to give you the state of the environment now. So that means at present what you are facing is not an outcome of some unfair world. It's an outcome of what? Series of cause and effect which have started from long ago, and it is arranging. Each cause and effect is a very intricate web of things which combine together to give me the result now. Now, if that is the case, that many factors have played the role, what do I do now if I don't want to breathe this horrible air? Can I just sit and say, I can't change the decisions of others, so I'm helpless? No, you have to say, I have to do my bit. The minute, so there was a very nice documentary by Al Gore, maybe many of you have seen. He said all these past factors led to this state of environment. If we want, we have options. Either we don't do anything, that is first the scenario, what will happen. If we begin to intervene, second scenario, what will happen in 10 years from now. And if we further accelerate our mindless consumption and mindless thing, third scenario. So that means anything that is happening in your life, whether at a collective level or at a personal level, is an outcome of series of factors, cause and effect. It may seem like unfair to you, and you may feel, why did it happen to me? Because you, in your vision, you don't know the causes. But the minute you understand that whether I know the causes or not, the causes are there. Things don't just happen randomly. Then what happens is this mind, the person who is feeling so disappointed when, generally we feel disappointed when things are less or opposite, right? So less or opposite will not bring you to this whole downward plunging down. This is something that this is the more you see infallibility of laws, more the less your reactions will be. So that means you have to understand the nature of the world in which you are living. Neither it is random, nor it is unfair, nor it is an illusion. It is a highly intelligent world which is what? Working through series of cause and effect. And what is the time period within which this cause and effect? What is the time period? 50 years? 100 years? How long?
Since the beginning of time.
Since the beginning of time. So how presumptuous we are if we come in this beginning of time, the causes and effects are working, and we come here and we want everything to be our way, and we act as though we know it all. And then we blame the world and we say it's a bad world, it's a messy world, it's unfair. Because our understanding and our knowledge is what? Even within this time, do you know all the causes that are being created? No. So the more and more you understand the infallibility of laws, less and less your reactions are when things don't go your way. The conclusion is not that the world is unfair. The conclusion is not that the world is random. The conclusion is there are too many factors, and my capacity to use certain factors and manage certain factors is limited. And this is why everything cannot happen my way and everything will not happen my way. But that also doesn't mean I will not try. I will try and I will apply and engage myself differently and intelligently. So this is what we say, samatvam yoga uchyate. A certain amount of equilibrium. Now see this. Now if things don't happen your way and you lose your equilibrium and you begin to let's say either be disappointed or be sad or be angry or have fears, then what is going to be the quality of your decision making? Poor. And with that kind of a mind, if your decision making is done, then that decision making is poor, what kind of outcome it is going to have? More disaster. And the more disaster you face, what will you again tell yourself? Life sucks. So that means you go deeper and deeper and deeper if you don't understand these realities. These are realities. This is not an advice. So therefore, that the more you retain the equilibrium, the more is what? Your capacity to make choices, intelligent choices. Now, when it comes to the choices, then there is one more dimension of making choices, and that is explained in the next verse. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukruta dushkrute tasmat yogaya yujjasva yoga karma sukaushalam. So here he says now yoga karma sukaushalam. So he says, okay, now suppose you understand that yes, I have a choice over action and I don't have a choice over result of the action. And the results come from the laws which are infallible in nature. Just that will it make the karma yoga complete. So this is where he says, hey, that's not. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam is another factor which makes karma yoga into a very dynamic kind of a way of living. When you make the choices, then generally what is the criteria that we have when we use the faculty of choice? How do you use, what is it governed by? The faculty of choice, how is it governed by? What is it governed by? It's governed by generally what? What I like, I want to get, and what I dislike, I want to avoid. So that means your faculty of choice is mostly governed by, in this case, we give it a name called what? Raga and Dvesha. What is Raga and Dvesha? Raga and Dvesha means Raga is what you like and Dvesha is what you dislike. What you like, what do you want to do with it? You want to get what you like, and not only what you want to get what you like, you also want to retain what you like. Not only, because once you get it, there is no guarantee that it will be there with you tomorrow. So you want to get what you like and you want to retain what you like. This is what we call yoga and kshema. And what you don't like, either you want to what? Avoid having it, and if you have it, then you want to get rid of it. So that means the faculty of choice that you use is mostly based on what? Raga and Dvesha. Now, that itself is, please understand, not a problem. That you engage in the world based on what you like and what you dislike is not a problem. In fact, the world requires that. Why? Because somebody is an engineer, somebody is a doctor, somebody is an architect, somebody is a painter. If nobody had any likes or dislikes, what will you do? So therefore, Surya used to make people do an exercise. Imagine, close your eyes and imagine a world where people have absolutely no likes and dislikes. What the world will be like?
Boring.
Boring. Perfect.
Right.
So don't make Raga and Dvesha into a problem. This Vedantin people suffer from so many complexes which are not necessary to suffer from. That's why they make their life so artificial. And they lose connection. So therefore, Raga and Dvesha are not a problem. Then, when Lord Krishna is talking about intelligent decision making, what is he talking about? He is talking about that using the faculty of choice intelligently. Kaushala. Kaushala means have certain discerning capacity. You must have a discerning capacity when you use this faculty of choice. The same Raga and Dvesha, which are not a problem, can potentially become a problem. Can potentially, not always. When my like is in conflict with dharma. What I like is in conflict with dharma. In fact, what you like may not be in conflict with dharma, but how you get what you like may be in conflict with dharma. What does it mean? Oh, I really want promotion. I've been working in this job for 5 years. Wonderful. There is nobody who just wants to just stay as an entry level. That you want to be recognized, that you want a promotion. Wonderful. Go for it. But, so that is your like right now, and you are engaging. But if for getting this promotion, you go to your boss and tell stories about your colleague, that is coming in conflict with what? Dharma. So what? You can say, so what? It's coming in conflict with dharma, but at least I know that if I get the promotion, I'll get more money. And with this money, I know exactly what I can do. I can buy one more car, I can send my kids to a good school, my wife will have a nice jewelry. So that means you know what you can get with this promotion. I'll have a better standing at work. I'll have more people that I have power over. You know exactly what this promotion is going to do for you. But dharma, following dharma, what is my gain? Okay, I didn't do anything, and suppose I didn't get the promotion. Then what will happen? I will feel what? That following dharma doesn't pay. What did it give me? It didn't give me anything. So that's when, if my understanding of the situation is like that, my decisions are going to be governed by raga and dvesha. Why? Because I don't see any gain for me in following dharma. I see myself as a loser when I have to follow dharma. And then you say, oh, but so many people are doing it, so why not me? Your behavior will only change no matter how much people tell you, be honest, be honest, be honest. Sometimes you will be honest, but grudgingly. Or seeing yourself as a loser. So that means your dissatisfaction continues. You are dharmic, but your dissatisfaction continues. Karma yoga means what? You are using karma to get rid of all this dissatisfaction and all the luggage or the baggage that you are carrying with you. So that means you have to then understand that why following dharma is important. And for whom are you following dharma?
For the I.
Exactly. If you think that you are following dharma to oblige somebody else, either the society or your parents or the God or anybody, then what? You will feel that what? It is a burden to follow dharma. It has become an obligation where I see no gain for myself. But if you understand that by following dharma, I am helping myself, then it will become a natural choice. How will you gain by following dharma? You need to ask how. I'm doing it for myself is not enough. How? How does it help me? So, this is where we again have to understand we have to work with the laws. Not only there are laws of gravity and there are laws of the aerodynamics and God knows what else. There is one more law in this universe, that is what? Law of dharma. What is this law of dharma? The law of dharma is one of the laws of the universe, but it is not tangible like the law of gravity. But because it is not tangible externally, it doesn't mean that we don't know it. There is one place where we all are given the understanding of dharma. And where is that? In your buddhi. How? Because every human being, regardless of culture, regardless of nationality, regardless of gender, knows, I don't want to be hurt. Everybody also knows, I don't want to be lied to. Everybody also knows, I don't want to be cheated. I don't want to be manipulated. I don't want to be treated shabbily. This is something that every human being knows. Dharma lies in our buddhi. It is not an external thing. It's not an external mandate. Please understand. Now, not only I know how I want to be treated, I also know others want to be treated the same. This is why a very small child, when he or she hits another child, they will not run to the parents and say, hey, I hit him. They'll try to hide because they know that they didn't do something right. So that means the dharma lies in human mind. That is the place where knowledge of the law of dharma is given. That's why I'm doing it for myself. Now, if everybody is given this knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, which is what I want others to do to me, and what others want from me, then the question is, we should all be following it very naturally, but we don't follow it always. Why not? Free will, and along with the free will, this raga and dvesha. The pressure of raga and dvesha is so much that what? You see more gain in pursuing your raga than in following. That's why, knowing it is not right, we still make that choice.
But that
Now,
means you
yeah,
need
go
some
ahead.
a certain amount of experience, like in that you just, if you follow your likes,
Yes.
it doesn't mean you get what you like,
Yes.
and so you just accumulate, let's say, like negative potential of negative emotions, let's say. So,
Great. So this is what I'm elaborating on. The cost of not following dharma. The cost of not following dharma is the same, the law which has given you the knowledge what is, what you don't want and what others don't want from you. The same law, when you go against it, gives you a feedback, immediate feedback. When you go against what you know to be right, there is the feeling of guilt. So that means that whether you pretend or you don't pretend or you try to block, that is something which is the feedback from the laws. You can't totally avoid. So that means there is this feeling of guilt. Now, we human beings are quite clever in camouflaging things. So therefore what happens is, instead of seeing that, hey, this kind of an action gives me the feeling of guilt, let's give it up, what we try to do is use our intelligence to forget about our guilt. How? Go to the next bar, have a couple of drinks. Go for a movie. So that means we resort to distractions which will make us forget our guilt. Now, one thing you have to be very clear, I have to tell all this because I'm very clear, I'm very careful about what I say. Everybody who's in the bar is not escaping the guilt. Right? So don't make generalization. So that means that you can go to bar for many other reasons also. Don't make wrong inferences. So that means what? That this we find ways to distract ourselves from this uncomfortable feeling that we feel when we go against what we know. Now, what happens is, this guilt is something which is, even though you try to hide it or to block it in some way, it is going to stay there, and it is also then going to cause what we call low self-esteem. Why? Because you have gone against what you know to be right.
You corrupt yourself. That's
Correct, exactly. So that means you know that, hey, I couldn't even do this, which I understand very well that is a normal thing for me to do. So that means now you are stuck not only with guilt, but you are also stuck with what? Low self-esteem. Then also the fear of being caught. So you are going against the value for what? And for satisfying your raga, thinking that you are a gainer. But what you are accumulating in as a result is what? Guilt, fear, low self-esteem. In addition to that, what happens is, when you know that you can go against what you know to be right, you may start thinking, how long does it take for others to do the same to me? You can do it, and you are not a bad person or anything. You are not some evil person. Others can also do it to you. So that means whether they are actually doing it to you or not, you become what? Suspicious. So now, one more addition. Load. Guilt, fear, low self-esteem, suspicion.
and sadness,
Sadness.
because you're not in the like.
You're not enjoying.
No, enjoying.
You're not enjoying when you're stuck with all this, you're not enjoying yourself. And then basically that suspicion, which is 1 or 2 times, then results in what? Lack of trust in life. You can't trust anyone. That is the worst place to be in. Because if you lose trust in life, how are you going to be enthusiastic? Tell me. Where is your cheerfulness going to come from? Where is this happiness that you are searching for? Where is it going to come from? If you think that the life is not trustworthy. So therefore, this is the cost of going against universal value. Big cost. The minute you understand, the whole equation of decision making changes. I'm not following dharma to oblige others. I'm doing it to help myself. It's too much of a cost. With this the promotion that I got, I bought that little TV. But my mind is not there to enjoy the TV. Or I'm like this dead potato couch kind of a person who just kind of, forgets everything, just watch blindly some TV, God knows what show. Is it fun?
First moment.
So that means once you understand the cost, this is why we say there is what we call dharma and karma work together. every choice that you make has what? Its consequences. If your choices are misguided, you can't escape from the consequences of those choices. This is why karma is nothing to do with, people think karma is all very fatalistic way of living your life, everything is decided by karma. It's the most dynamic way of living your life. By saying you can't blame anybody else for what's happening to you. And what is happening to you, if you become more intelligent, it is not going to remain the same. The minute your choices become better, you will have better results. So,
But that means I'm only responsible for the choices and not for the result.
yes, that's the part you missed.
Okay.
So you came late and that was already done.
Okay.
So now this swadharma becomes non-negotiable in my life. Because through sadharma I have a mind which is free of conflict.
Very peaceful mind.
Peace of mind. A mind which is engaged, cheerful, nothing to weigh it down.
No tensions in the
No
brain.
tensions, no stress. This is why this karma yoga, the same actions which gave you all these loads, the same actions you are using to what? Do unloading. By what? Re-understanding everything. Re-understanding when I have a choice, when I don't have a choice. Where I don't have a choice, what governs the result. Where I have a choice, how to use the faculty of choice intelligently. Your life will become much easier, much more simple, with much less burden. So, this is karma yoga. There are just one little thing which I will not talk about now because it's already 6:30. What time did you start?
5:30.
So I think it's done. But just if I forget, just remind me that what I wanted to, before I go on to the next topic, when I talk about this universal ethical values, in Sanskrit it is called Samanya Dharma. Samanya Dharma is universal values which are applied to everything and everyone. What I wanted to mention is that these values are not as rules. They are not do's and don'ts. Don't mix them up with do's and don'ts. Do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. It's not like some external person coming and telling you you should do this and you should not do that. It is born of what your understanding and that of dharma which is already there in your mind, already given. You have to honor it. Because not honoring it has a cost. Now, the second thing I wanted to say, which I will actually not talk now, but I will talk tomorrow morning, is even though the dharma is universal, there is one small note that dharma is not absolute, but it is at times subject to interpretation. This is what makes following dharma highly dynamic. So how it is so, that is what we will see next time. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.